On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Chaos, craziness, and all of that is continuing to ensue. Last night we had some really bad happenings in Portland, and a lot of things are starting to play out. I think a lot of people are truly starting to wake up. They're starting to see, hey, what's this world going to look like when the Democrats are in charge? And I think people are getting a very good taste of that. And a lot of the polls are drastically shifting. Again, I hate polls, don't particularly trust them, but it is funny when they start to suggest that Biden is losing, because I think the polls are so slanted and so horrible. When they actually show a small difference between Trump and Biden, I think it's actually a huge difference in reality. And I think the powers that were truly realize that they're in for a bit of a problem right now. And it doesn't seem like they're doing anything about it yet. It's really strange. Now, one of the double standards I want to point out, and it's just sort of ironic in its own way, but we had some leftists that decided to chain themselves together in the lobby of Mayor Ted Wheeler's apartment. Hey, guess what? He called the cops on them. They weren't allowed to be there. These three people just sitting there chained together in his own thing is not okay for him, but running around the streets and killing people in cold blood and all these sorts of things, well, that's okay. That's all right, because, hey, they're just protesting. They're just peaceful protesters, even though they shot someone last night. Just peaceful. Even though they're lighting things on fire, they're just peacefully lighting things on fire. This is the message that the left is sending us right now, that these are peaceful protests that are causing death, violence, destruction, threats. We've got people actually talking about getting even by killing someone last night. This is the crazy world that we're starting to head into. So the New York Times, or Breitbart really, but Portland homicide victim had a Patriot prayer hat. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with what happened, but there was a gentleman that was just straight up shot. Someone noticed that he had a Blue Lives Matter, the blue line flag on his little patch down here on the side where it's opened up. They noticed it. You can hear someone in the crowd say something to the effect of, oh, hey, there's blah, blah, blah. We don't know what they said, either Trump supporter or there's one of them or something. But whatever the case was, they identified this individual as being someone that was pro-right, for sure, probably pro-Trump, but certainly pro-blue lives. And they literally walked up and shot him in the back just to get even, just to try to make up for what happened in Kenosha. This is what is happening on the streets. They just literally walked up and killed this individual, just shot him, cold blood. You can't really see anything on this particular video. I'll play it. I don't think it's, I don't know. Hopefully this doesn't cause an issue with me, but we'll see. That's it. Cold blood. Just walked up to the dude and shot him. Now, there's questions about who this was. There's questions about how this played out. And again, I took out the spot where the shot happened just because I kind of know the way these things are going to play out. So again, it was bad, and just literally walked up and took the man's life, and that is it. Medics tried to save the shooting victim in Portland, but they were not able to save his life, and he died there on the street. So one of the things that people had noticed was this, and this is what got him in trouble. On his leg, he was wearing this little pack, the survival pack or go pack or whatever it was. No, who knows what he had in it too? Maybe just his wallet and stuff. But yeah, Blue Lives Matter. They saw that, walked up, boom, end of story. End of story, end of life. That's it. End of life, end of story. Now, one thing that's interesting to me also is how people on the left can post stuff like this. I'm not sad that effing fascist died tonight, yells a female Antifa militant at a gathering in downtown Portland. The crowd laughs and cheers. The victim was a Trump supporter. This is okay on Twitter. Twitter doesn't mind having stuff that calls out killing people, that actually celebrates killing people on our streets. But if a Blue Lives Matter person puts up something, or if someone's pro-Trump and puts up something, or God forbid they put up an anti-abortion thing, well, no, that'll get taken down in a heartbeat. But it's perfectly okay to post this kind of stuff, celebrating killing a United States citizen, killing a peaceful person that wasn't even fighting with anyone, just because you felt like you got slighted in Wisconsin. So somehow that's okay. Now, I'd play this, but basically they just replay what they state here. And there's no reason to hear the F word. I'm just going to get in trouble for that as well, too. But yeah, Black Lives protesters have decided that it's okay to call out war on people on the right. Problem is that's not going to go over well with people on the right. And we're starting to notice that people are starting to stand their ground. People are starting to stick up. And on top of that, Donald Trump's attacking the mayor of Portland, just straight up attacking him. Trump reposted a tweet, and I think this is hilarious. And he said it's beautiful because he knew he was going to get slammed for it. But on top of it, it's good. But he says, tone down the language, but true. And the post he redid was, Ted Wheeler is the useless effing idiot and comic relief that gets everyone killed in every disaster movie. And he's right. And again, Trump calls him out. He's like, "Whoa, tone down the language. Shouldn't use the F word as much as I probably love using it myself." But very true. Yes. Now, one other thing that comes up here, Wheeler is incompetent, much like Sleepy Joe Biden. That is not what our great country wants. They want safety and security and do not want to defund the police. And yes, amen. Can I have a second helping of what you just said, sir? Absolutely. Now, this was in response to the Silvio Tatasconi or whatever. And he was saying only 2 days ago that Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler published his letter on here telling Trump he didn't need the federal assistance he was offering. Sitting here, peeing myself, laughing. Ha, 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 ha. This is your stupid city, Silvio, you tard. What's going on with you, buddy? What's going on? So it follows up here. And this, I thought, was probably one of the better ones. Donald Trump retweeted Courtney Holland. Our great National Guard could solve these problems in less than 1 hour. Local authorities must ask before it's too late. People of Portland and other Democratic-run cities are disgusted with Schumer, Pelosi, and their local leaders. They want law and order. And this is great down here. This is Muriel Bowers, Washington, D.C. What we've been witnessing for weeks now is the inaptitude of city mayors being able to provide safety and peace for their citizens. And tonight, those citizens are beginning to take matters into their own hands. Now, you might have been like me, maybe you aren't, but there's two words, inept and inapt. They're actually basically the same word. The small difference, an inaptitude instead of ineptitude, which is, initially I thought you used the wrong word, but inapt is usually used to describe something which is not appropriate in certain context. Inept just straight up means you're poorly skilled, clumsy, or just straight up lacking some IQ points. Essentially, inapt is a politer or more polite way to say inept. Long story short, she's calling out Ted Wheeler and Muriel Bowers, the DC and Portland, as just two completely incompetent leaders. And the people are seeing this. The people are seeing that somehow damaging in the streets and somehow threats to people and somehow actual physical violence and actually accosting people on the streets after the convention is somehow okay. Or walking up to someone just because they have a Blue Lives Matters sticker, flag on their shirt or on their attire or on their hat, or God forbid they're wearing a MAGA hat or even just a red hat. Yeah, that's somehow it's okay to just walk up and shoot them. These are the streets that the mayors that we've elected in are giving us, are allowing us to experience. This is insane to me. And I think to every other American people. Now, one thing Q keeps trying to remind us, just to throw this out there, is to have some faith in humanity. And this is something that I have to keep reminding myself, because seeing a lot of this, you get a little frustrated, you get a lot frustrated, and you start to lose hope in humanity. You start to wonder, why am I trying to protect these people? Why am I trying to help these people? Why do I keep mentioning extending an olive branch when people wake up? And then it was like, yes, you're right. People are waking up. People are seeing this. And the people that are waking up are not happy with what they're seeing and are truly joining the voices of people putting their foot down and saying enough is enough. We are tired of this. The violence in the street is unacceptable, and we certainly don't need to see this violence walking into our neighborhoods. It's unacceptable. Now, one thing that I just, I was like, started clapping. I'm like, oh, you're the best. And I will see if it actually passes. It's in the House right now. Pelosi will probably never allow a vote on it. But again, people are waking up. People are seeing this. And what this law is, or what this bill is amazing and is a great approach to trying to solve the problems we have on our streets. Republican congressman introduces legislation to strip convicted rioters of federal welfare benefits. Yes. That means if you're busted rioting, if you're busted out there causing damage, causing harm, hurting people, not peacefully protesting. Everybody agrees peaceful protests are awesome. Everybody also knows that a majority of these things that we're talking about nowadays are not peaceful protests. As much as CNN wants to stand there with a peaceful protest chyron on the bottom and a burning building sitting right behind them, it doesn't work. The people are laughing, they're mocking, and they're absolutely insulted at the way they're trying to do this. So the talk is if you get busted doing any of these illegal activities as far as rioting is concerned, and certainly worse, they're going to take away your financial aid, your unemployment money. They're going to take away your money. Now, again, is that something that I like the state taking away your money? Not particularly, but when you're out truly doing damage, causing harm, hurting others, destroying private property, destroying public property, yeah, no, you're done. You're done. You're not going to get rewarded. You don't get your little debit card filled up weekly anymore. They're taking away your money, big guy. Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. Now, again, it's this guy from Indiana is introducing a legislation to strip coronavirus employment benefits and other federal welfare payments to individuals convicted of felony riot offenses. The Support Peaceful Protest Act was introduced into the House of Representatives on Friday. Now, again, what's going to be really interesting is this will never see the light of day, probably, anyway, because of Nancy Pelosi. How do you think people are going to respond to that? You don't want to actually vote on something that's actually going to help bring peace to the streets? And you know Pelosi's not going to. You know she won't. People, again, are going to see through this. This is one of those things where we've got to allow enough people to see how freaking ridiculous it's becoming. And it's just getting worse daily, folks. Everyone keeps calling it out. Getting worse daily. Like, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but it's probably going to be a little crazier than today, right? So here is what we've got going on. And when Pelosi doesn't bring this up to vote on the floor, who's going to look bad? This guy that's trying to introduce it? Or most of us trying to talk about it? Or the people that are actually honestly trying to keep it from coming to light, that are trying to keep it from getting voted on? Who do you think's going to get the bad publicity? My guess is Pelosi's days are numbered. Schumer's days are numbered. All these guys' days are numbered. First off, because they've been doing illegal stuff. Second off, they're treasonous. And third off, they're showing their colors to everybody else. These guys are done. You know, we had issues with Rand Paul walking down the street with his wife. These people aren't going to be able to go anywhere. I mean, if they're not in jail already or down in Guantanamo, they're not going to be able to go anywhere. People are going to freak out. Now, another interesting thing that's come up, CNN political analyst claims there's very little rioting. Very little, folks. I mean, any of this perceived rioting that you see out there you obviously are making it up.
Obviously matters, but I think ultimately the reason that the protests are happening, and let's be honest, and Don, you do make this point, and it's important over and over, there's very little rioting. Like that's actually, there's very little violence. It's but it's magnified by Donald Trump, and it's magnified by Republicans, and to convince people that people are coming for them, and that's just simply not what's happening.
It's just absolute insanity. And we've got Don Lemonade here and Chris Cuomoson. These guys, I don't have a better nickname for him. I wish I did. There's got to be something good for Cuomo. Lemonade, I think, is funny. But anyway, that being said, these two schmucks are a big part of the whole problem. And again, all this information's coming out. And she, again, has to reiterate, let me just say it one more time because no one really believes it anyway. And we just really got to keep saying it over and over and over. It's the only way we can get people on the left to say and regurgitate these same talking points. But let's just say it again. There's not really any violence. That's not really true. I mean, don't look at all the burning buildings. Don't look at the shootings. Don't look at the masked thugs that are intimidating people. No, there's no violence. What are you talking about? So again, people are waking up to what's actually happening. And as I kind of say here, in reality, as anyone with eyes would know, the last 3 months have seen relentless rioting and violence in numerous American cities. Now, Andy No brings up something really cool here, and I love this. And it looks like there was no late night violent protests or riot in Portland for the first time in 93 days. Now, this was the 28th when he posted this. Obviously, May 29th, a little bit of information happened. And then, gee whiz, I think last night had a man shot on the street. So, hey, we had one night of somewhat of a calming day. But apparently, the FBI is actually seeking information. Arson and destruction at Justice Center, Portland, Oregon, May 29th, 2020. America's Most Wanted, it seems. So, again, there's some people that are handling this from a different angle, and then you've got your Ted Wheelers, and you've got your Lori Lightfoots, and you've got your Bowsers in DC. You've got your crazy people that everyone and their mother are seeing for what they are. And again, they're taking down these people at multiple chances. I've got another great story I'm going to be sharing in just a second that talks about a major bust that they did for Kenosha. So again, things are happening behind the scenes. They're not getting played up on the normal published press, normal news. But a lot of us other outsiders are definitely talking about this stuff. A lot of crazy stuff. So Kenosha or Kosovo. And this was where the thumbnail I had, all the images came from on that, right? This was basically a snippet of them. But what we've got here is, this is Kenosha. Someone walking down the street in Kenosha, as they put, in a daze, just tripping out on how crazy things look. Like, you can't even recognize some of these buildings. Right here, the Storefoot, the Good Taste ice cream shop. Obviously, ice cream is apparently flammable because it just burned down the entire store. I couldn't even work out what this building used to be, is what this guy's talking about in this particular building, which is just weird. The whole entire wall's gone, and then you got the door open. It's like kind of funny. Like, I don't know. I don't think I need the door, but just in case someone's home. Here's another great building that they're going to have to rebuild or whatever. Again, car lots destroyed. Just wherever they can find anything to destroy, they're destroying it. And what I do actually like about this image is, and it's contrary to what I know they meant, hey, there's love in this revolution. No, there's not. And that's absolutely not. This is the opposite of love. And that's why it's written backwards. Revolution has love in it, yes, but backwards love. It's the opposite of love. Revolution isn't done through love. Revolution's done through hate, through action, through anger. Now, again, there's been a lot of cases where revolution's been a positive thing. The revolution that we have right now is actually against our freedoms. The revolution right now is being fought by a side that wants to strip your abilities to make decisions about where your kids go to school, to make decisions about whether or not you can go to church or where that church can be, whether or not you have to wear a mask, whether or not you're even allowed to walk around outside of your house, whether or not you're allowed to eat cheeseburgers, whether or not you're allowed to drive, whether or not you're allowed to own firearms. All of these things are what they're trying to take away. Now, the revolution we had back in 1776, or at least finished up around then, we were actually fighting for our rights as people to be free. And right now, we've got a group of people that are revolution against us to take those freedoms away. That's not a revolution. That's an attack. That's an insurgency. And that is what we are all dealing with today. So a lot of crazy stuff is going on. Kenosha's toast. I mean, again, these are people that are being brought in from outside. They don't live in these cities. These aren't people that are protesting in their own cities. Now, granted, there are peaceful protesters that are protesting in their own cities because there's no reason to go drive far away just to protest. But the people doing the violence and the destruction, they're finding in most cases are not from this area, are not from the area that they're destroying. They literally are bussing people in to cause chaos and pandemonium and destruction. And then those people go back home or go back to some other city that they can burn down, but they're not burning down their own homes. They're not burning down their own cities. No, they're traveling to your city to burn down your city. That's all. No. So, of course, they're just peaceful protesters burning down your city. U.S. Marshals intercept a neat battle supply here. This is a great story. They intercepted supplies from Antifa, BLM support groups heading to Kenosha. What are you talking about, Dan? Let me tell you. A concerned citizen tipped off the police about the out-of-state activity. The suspects drove a black school bus, a bread truck, and a tan minivan and planned to meet at a vacant lot near State Highway 50 and Green Bay Road in Kenosha. Police were able to conduct surveillance on the vehicles and confirm their out-of-state plates. Vehicle stopped off at a gas station near Washington Road and 30th Avenue. Officers watched as the occupants suspiciously filled multiple fuel cans. When the vehicles convened at their meeting point, the officers moved in to make contact. The driver of the minivan panicked and attempted to drive away, but the suspicious getaway was quickly thwarted by the officers. The officers quickly moved in, identifying themselves first as they detained the suspects and searched the van. This is when officers uncovered the cache of supplies, gathering sufficient evidence to arrest 9 Antifa BLM collaborators. These are some of the people that are a bit higher up the food chain. They took down a major group. On social media, the collaborators admitted that they are ready to feed the revolution using a riot kitchen crew. Turns out these out-of-state Antifa BLM collaborators are doing nothing but feeding the flames of violence and supporting cruel lawlessness, all the while being praised as civil rights heroes by a traitorous media and a Democratic Party leaders. This last part is the true reality. Traitorous media and traitorous Democrat leadership. They are trying to take this country down a dark path where we have no rights, and we are not standing for that. It's one of the great things that's starting to happen in a major way is the counter protests are beginning to show, and hundreds of people are showing up in some of these cities, Portland as well, and it's definitely causing some chaos, and there is almost no way this isn't going to escalate further. But hopefully we can find some peace through this crazy path that we're currently on. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting, and it's a step in the right direction, again, trying to share some of the good news with some of the bad news. I think there's hope. I do truly believe there's hope. And I do want to remind once again, hope in humanity. I think there are good people out there that are going to realize this is not okay. Even though I'm a Democrat, this is not okay. And that's what we're needing. We need people to look at things objectively and say, really, is this the world you want to live in? I get you want to have your little utopia, and I get you want to have socialized medicine, and I get you want to have socialized everything. But is death in the streets and killing normal people, is that what you want? Is that really what you want? And I think these people are starting to realize, no, it's not what I want. So one thing that's kind of interesting is in an area, and this is again kind of that speaks to the poll changes where people are starting to just heavy Trump, like Biden's numbers are falling like a rock in a deep lake. Just blunk, and it's just heading down and down and down. We had 6 Democratic mayors from cities in Minnesota, I think it was, and they are all stating their allegiance to Trump and what he's trying to do. And so we've got the mayor of Virginia, Chisholm, Ely, Two Harbors, Evelyn, I think, and Babbitt. I'm hoping I'm saying those right. Those 6 mayors signed this and basically are saying we are Democrats, and yes, but we want to support Donald Trump and Mike Pence. We believe that what they're trying to do is heading us in the right direction. And I'll tell you what, here's 6 Democrats that might actually get voted back into office. So it is that kind of stuff that is going to change the world and change people's minds. We've got a lot going on, folks. We've got to stay together. We've got to stay united. We've got to keep talking. We've got to try to keep the peace as best we can, but certainly stand that ground, stand your line, let your neighbors know you support them, know who's the people within your little immediate circles that you can trust and not trust. Let's figure out who's on our side, and let's start making some allegiances within our own communities. Because frankly, if push comes to shove, we need to know who we can count on. We need to know who we can trust. And as we've been saying frequently, and has never been more true than right now, where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.